Então, gente, estamos aqui com mais um episódio do Balbúrdia Cast. Hoje a gente está com uma convidada maravilhosa, que é a Moxxi, tem o meu co-host PDS. A gente vai fazer esse episódio, tô até meio nervosa, né? Então vou dar uma boa noite para nossa convidada, boa noite para o PDS. E a gente vai começar com esse... É o quê? O 13º? 13º ou 14º episódio, né?
Talvez.
É isso aí. Então, hey Moxxi, how are you today? Good night.
Hey guys, how are you? What is it? It's a boa noite, right?
It's boa noite.
Boa noite.
Noite? All right. Got that right still.
What time is it there? It's like 6 p.m.?
Yeah, 6
Oh,
p.m.
okay,
my
so
time.
we're close. It's 7 p.m. here. Good night, PDS.
Well, good night, Skila. I don't know about the Skila audience, but if you want to just give a quick introduction about yourself, Moxxi, who are you? What have you done in Dota? A quick introduction, right?
Oh gosh, yeah. So yeah, hi, I'm Moxxi. I was a Dota 2 play-by-play caster. Very proud to be the first lady ever to cast the international on the main stage. I also stream, I make content. Right now I work for an all-women's tournament company called Radiant GG. Yeah, and still just like love esports, love seeing ladies get involved with it. Still a huge South American Dota fan through and through. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of me in a nutshell right now.
Well,
When did you? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you can go.
No, I just want to ask, when did you begin with Dota? Like, did you used to play before, and when was it? When was that?
So TI3 was with the $1 Million Dream Coil, and I saw that,
Mhm.
and like people were like freaking out about it. They were so excited. And I was like, I have no idea what's happening, but it's so exciting and it looks like fun. And I want to do that. So I started playing Dota very badly. To the point where like I wasn't using any like of my clicks. I was just like basically using abilities. Like I started playing Puck because Puck was, the big hero at that time. And just illusory orbing, trying to hit last hits. It was rough. It was rough. But yeah, I started falling in love with the game around that time. It feels like a million years ago.
But did you used to work with casting, or did you have any prior experience to that?
None. Nope.
Oh.
I did have some transferable skills because I actually majored in vocal music. So I was a classical and opera singer, plus vocal coach. And a lot of those skills actually transfer over quite a bit, right? Because you've got your breath support, you've got your diction, you've got, being eloquent and things. And that really helped me make that transition. But honestly, like I had never done any casting before. I did it as a joke originally. I was getting enough people that liked watching me fail at Dota because I started streaming on Twitch at some point. And I guess people just liked my attitude about it or something because they weren't there for the gameplay. I'm gonna tell you that right now. But we started getting so many people that we started running in-houses and we started having too many people. So I was like, I'll sit out and I'll cast like as a joke. And man, those were good times because you just flame everybody because you know each other. You don't have to be too careful. And that's really how I started casting. And then people were like, hey, I'm playing in this amateur tournament. You want to cast our games? And I was like, oh God, you want that? Sure. Okay.
Wow, and that's something I always tell people about, because if you want to see a gameplay, you will see maybe a pro player. So if you're a streamer and in entertainment, in the entertainment business, you have to entertain. So if you're bad, people laugh about you being bad, and so that's something I always say about streaming and stuff. And did you have fun streaming? You were just like taking your time and having fun, or in the beginning you already thought about working with it at some point?
Oh God, not at all. Not at all. I started and honestly, I started streaming because I have a little cousin and I was playing Dark Souls at the time and I was so bad. It was really having a huge problem with Biggie and Smalls. It was taking me months to get through it. And so he's like, oh, stream it and I'll watch it and help you out because he was better at Dark Souls than me. So I was like, all right. So I started streaming it and he's like, you should just stream. Like people will like be interested, like I hate to say it, but it's like you're a girl, people will watch you. And I was like, wow, way to be a jerk. But anyway, I was like, nobody wants to watch me. I'm bad. Like I'm not good. But I started streaming just, for fun. There was no one in my chat half the time. I had like one or two people, but yeah, no, it was just basically me playing. I had a lot of people that would join and be like, wow, like you never get mad. How is that possible? And I was just like, I don't know, because I'm just playing. I'm playing a game. I'm having fun. I had people to play with back then too, because I feel like that makes a huge difference is having, at least like one or two friends to play with especially when you're getting started too. And like I had some bad games. Like I think my first Chen game was a nightmare because I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just like, I'm gonna try this, this hero. And then I was getting flamed, and I didn't touch that hero for like a year afterwards because I was just getting flamed. Everyone was so mean. I was like, ugh, no. That's like probably the only time I think I was like really, really upset while playing and streaming, other than playing Katamari, because that is my one game that I rage over, which is very strange, I know, but that game, I'm playing Once Upon a Katamari right now, and my stream is watching me, and they're like, "Oh my god, you never got upset at Dota, but you're getting mad at this." I was like, "Yes, it's time to end the stream right now."
Yeah, and about that thing your cousin said to you, do you feel like you had an advantage for being a woman in the games industry or not?
No, I like if I was like a really because I feel like that usually draws people, like in all honesty, when you're scrolling through thumbnails, But like I'm a very average looking human being. And I definitely didn't put any effort into what I looked like either. Like I was scrubbing it most of the time. So like maybe a little bit of an advantage, but I don't think it was that huge, honestly.
Oh, but you're
But this was
pretty.
also a million years ago now. Like it's changed so much since then. So
Yeah, that's
there weren't a
something.
lot of streamers at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
That's something Shiver said when she was here, that if you're a girl, maybe people will click on you first, but they don't necessarily stay.
Hmm.
They're just curious about what that woman is doing here and stuff, but they don't stay. Do you wanna say something?
Not
Because
always, yeah.
No, I was going to ask because you said you used to play Dark Souls, you love Katamari. Were you always a gamer girl? Did you used to game since you were young, or how was your introduction to gaming?
I'm gonna age myself by saying
No, don't worry, I'm older, so it's
but
fine.
uh I'm getting old now. My birthday's on Friday. But yeah, so
really,
basically, yeah, I'm a Halloween baby.
Oh.
I was not allowed to have video games at all as a kid. My parents were both teachers, and they said video games rot your brain. And this is like way back before like the internet and whatnot. Again, I'm aging myself here. We didn't get a video game console until my brother went to college, and it was an Xbox, which was like again a million years ago. I used to go to like the arcade though. Like we used to go to the seaside, and they had like a big arcade there. So I'd save up my quarters all year, and then I would just play like Soul Calibur and like Street Fighter and stuff that and skee ball. I don't know, but I used to hustle too. Because I'd be like, I was really small for most of my life. Like I'm already, I am small. Everyone's seen the picture of Purge standing next to me, and they're like, "What the hell?" Um, but because I was so small for most of my life, like I would want to sit there and play, and there'd be kids there, and they'd have their quarters lined up because they'd be waiting to like go for the next round or whatever. And I'd put my quarters up, and they'd look at me like, "What the hell? Like a little girl? Like what are you doing here? You lost, kid?" And so I'd be like, "Hey, I bet you $1 I can kick your butt." And they'd be like, "Yeah, right." And yep, kicked the butt, made a couple dollars back then. But that was all fighting games. Like I had never played a game like Dota until after watching TI3.
And how did you end up in TI3? Because you're not from Seattle, are you?
No, 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 no.
No.
I'm
Oh,
on the other coast actually.
mm-hmm.
I'm on East Coast. I had a friend that was really interested in Dota, and they were watching it, and they got me into it. So that's how I found out about it. Because otherwise, I wouldn't have known anything about it. I didn't play Warcraft 3 or anything.
Oh, so you watched online? I thought you went to Seattle,
Oh no,
or
no, no.
did you?
Just watched online. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When was your first international that you went to?
think it was TI-7, and it was in Seattle. And I remember that was like a huge deal, actually, because I had just that year, I think I had won the Moonduck Caster Crucible. And Zyori kind of messaged me and was like, hey, you need to be here. You need to be here because you need to network. Like, if you have any like dreams of being a part of this more, you need to find a way to get out here. And I was like, I don't make any money. Like, I'm a voice teacher and I don't have a lot of students right now. And plane tickets are expensive and hotels are expensive and like, all of this stuff. And I've never traveled by myself on an airplane before. Like, it was a big, like, oh boy. And I think I remember talking to, I think it was my grandparents. I was talking to my grandparents and I was talking with like my brother and his wife, and they have my niece at the time who was very little, but my grandparents were like, you don't want to have any regrets. Like, because I was very scared. I'm a very anxious human being. But they're like, go, because are you gonna regret it if you don't? I was like, yeah. They're like, well, then do it. And then my sister-in-law is so cute. She's like, you're gonna go to the airport, you're gonna go have a drink or two at the bar, it's gonna be fine. And like stress. And my little niece goes, Tia Mimi, maybe have just one itty bitty baby-sized drink. And I was like, oh my god, the baby is telling me I need a drink to calm down. Like, that's we've reached a new level of low right now with the anxiety. But the whole process of getting there was awesome because I was like, all right, I'm gonna try to raise money to get out there because I don't have the money on my own. And so I put out like a little blurb out on Twitter, like, hey guys, I'm gonna sing Disney songs for money, and thank you, Disney, for not suing me for doing that because the mouse is always watching. But I said, like, if you donate X amount of dollars, I will sing a Disney song. And the community just showed up. It was wild. The amount of people that showed up to my stream, threw a couple dollars at me, listened to me sing a Disney song. And that's actually what funded my plane ticket out there. I got lucky because I had a couple friends that were already going to TI, and they're like, hey, you can come stay with us and we'll just get you a little cot, like in our Airbnb. Like, it costs like $50 or something to add you on if you're willing to, like, cover. I was like, sure. I'd never met these friends either in my entire life. Like, I only kind of knew them. So I was like, they could murder me. I don't know, but we're going to take that risk. And then my tickets to TI came from another person that was actually part of that friend group. They always buy like an extra ticket or two for like, friends or whatever. And they're like, yeah, I have an extra ticket if you want to cover it. Like, I'll sell it for you at cost. And it was great because it turns out he actually lived in my state. And we've become very, very good friends since. Because there's like no Dota people in my state for whatever reason. I've got like 2 other friends that play Dota here. But yeah, it was like the perfect storm of like the community coming together. Like, let's get Moxxi to TI. Let's see what we can do. Let's make it happen. So yeah, TI-7. And then yeah, Annie was great. Annie Droid was still in the scene. She was kind of on her way out at the time, but she was like, hey, Mox, let me introduce you to like everyone. And boy, did I meet everyone.
Was this, do you consider your first like big breakthrough? Because you said you started streaming like 2014, was that?
Yeah, I think that was TI.
Yeah,
14?
Yeah, because I'm getting old also, so I don't remember everything. But there was this time period, 3 years, like 2014 to 2017. How was your were you already casting some tournaments, getting paid or not?
So most of the casting I was doing was for my viewers, but I did do the Caster Crucible that year, where basically Moonduck was like, we're looking for the next big talent for casting. And I was like, oh, isn't that neat? Like, that sounds nice. I'm not gonna do anything with that because I'm a lady and I've already tasted like what it's like to be a lady on the internet. It's not fun. My first commenter I ever got in my Twitch chat said, I'll give you $50 if you show me your feet.
Oh yeah,
And
that
I was
happens.
like, yeah, yep. I was like, I've done it. I've made it. Like, people are offering me money to see my feet on the internet. And the best is when, I mentioned it to like my friends. They're like, well, did you do it? It's $50. I was like, no, no, of course. It was only the guys who said that, by the
Yeah,
way.
it's always the guys.
Yeah. They're like, well, do they want a picture of my feet? And I was like, no. Oh my God. Ew, we're done. Um, but with the Caster Crucible thing went out, and I wasn't gonna do it at all. But then someone that I knew was like, hey, I'm gonna do it. Will you do this with me? And I was like, oh, I don't know. You don't want that. Like, you don't want me getting involved. It'll probably create drama, or, people will be real nasty. Like, I don't want you to have. And they were like, no, I'd rather have you, because if I don't have someone, they're going to pair me up with someone I don't know. And that's going to be even worse. So I was like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? And they're like, just, you can do like the play by play. We can take turns on it. And I was like, all right, cool. And we ended up getting I think the second highest score. I think the highest score went to Bren Cass. I think he's done like Overwatch and a couple other first person shooters now. But then we came in second, which I was happy with. I was like, oh wow. And like my community showed up. They're like, yeah, Moxxi, like making a lot of noise in chat, which was great. But we got second place. It was kind of like, all right, well, what can you do? Like, I had a good time. It was fun. I got to see everybody cheer. We got a full game to cast too, because they were giving like only little bits to each caster, and we got to do the whole thing, which I thought was pretty neat. And then Zyori reached out and he's like, hey, we have like these little cups that we do occasionally, like the Sunday Cup series. I think some of you might have remembered that. And there was like a couple like little Russian like cups that were like happening with tiny prize pools, with like they want coverage in English. Would you be interested? They don't pay anything really. Like they pay like $10 a game. But I was like, yeah, you know what? That sounds cool. That's really cool. So that's how I became from amateur hobbyist to semi-professional.
And when was the first time you made money with Dota? Because you said you were streaming like for free and stuff. Do you remember when was the first time you got paid, for casting?
Probably one of those little like cups that Moonduck got contracted to do, I think.
And how do you deal with the sexism in the internet? You're more like you answer the haters, or just let it be and forget about it?
Oh boy, Squirrely, you diving in with the hard hitting right off the bat. Damn, girl. So it's shifted a lot, because originally when I was first like kind of coming up in the scene, like it was like, just ignore them. That's what everyone said. Just ignore them. Don't look at Reddit. Don't listen, protect your house. Like I talked with like Nessa and a couple other people at one point, because it was like people are showing up in my chat and they're not good faith like conversing. But I don't want to kick them out, because I feel like if I kick them out, then they don't like engage and like learn. But at the same time, if they're not good faith engaging, and I believe it was Rhinessa who was like, Moxxi, your chat, your channel is your house. If you have people breaking into your house and like being a jerk to you, do you let them stay in your house? And I was like, well, no. And they're like, then you kick them out. You hit that block button, you hit ban or whatever. And so like it was, again, like just like, move it out of sight. Don't look at it, get rid of it, whatever. Which works to a certain extent, but like I feel like you do have to have these conversations eventually. So like my whole mindset now, especially now that I'm kind of departed from the talent scene, is like I'll have full on talks with people. I've had incels come into my chat and like we'll actually like talk through some of the issues and like why they feel that way. And that's not to say that everybody who comes into chat is willing to have like actual nuanced conversations, but we do kind of address them a little bit more. I have a really good community too that will also in good faith kind of like talk, or like if things get out of hand, like kind of shut them down. But like it's a big slope. I also, like when I'm doing games now, I use my voice chat because I want more and more people to know, like, hey, women game, we're here, we're not going anywhere. And like, you get that one guy that like starts to be weird about it, and then we just immediately call them out as like, dude, why are you making it so weird? Like, do you need a hug? That's a very common phrase that we say in my my stream, is like, do you need a hug? Because honestly, a lot of them do.
Yes.
which sounds nuts, but like we've had people that have been like, I'm sorry, I've had a really bad day. I shouldn't be taking, like, I've literally gotten apologies,
Mm-hmm.
which again, not the norm, but try to combat, some of that sexism that way. The company I work with right now is a project manager, Radiant GG. They're trying really hard to, level the playing field. They don't do anything in Dota, unfortunately, but they do things with like Fortnite, Rocket League, and just try to create spaces where, women can game without having fear of, getting targeted or someone talking down to them because of the fact that they're a lady or whatever. Because eventually the goal is to just not have to have those. But we've got a lot of work to do until then.
Yeah. PDS always makes fun of me because I'm a huge fan of banning people. He's always making fun because I ban everybody. I don't tolerate.
Kind of,
I feel like and every time I expose something, because sometimes I do, there's the guy to answer back like, "Oh, just ignore it. You're amazing. You don't have to pay attention on it." But the thing is, we spend all of our lives ignoring. We ignore when we go out. We ignore when we go to the market. So if at any point we decided to speak about it, to talk about it, it's because we feel like we need it. So yeah, I feel like it's important to listen to ourselves. Like, I don't know, maybe you're having a really great day and you don't wanna let that energy comes to you, so you just decide to ignore it, and that's just fine. But sometimes you feel like you have to say something about it. Maybe to show a different point of view, because sometimes people just make jokes like they heard and they're repeating it. They don't think it's weird to say it, but they don't think that it can hurt or it can like literally end your day. So sometimes if you say something about it, the people just think. you know
I think one of the best comebacks to whenever you hear like a really sexist joke is to say, "Can you explain to me why that's funny?"
mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the best ways to come back to it, because sometimes it just be like, "Oh, it's just a joke." Like, what about that's funny? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the times people will back off because they can't explain it without actually hitting the root of the problem. But yeah, 100%. Like, pick and choose your battles, absolutely. But I think that in order to see change happen, we need to be having uncomfortable conversations.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree 100%. I have a lot of uncomfortable conversations in my stream.
Lots, but your stream is great. You're saying that I'm making fun of you, but it's only about the bans from Dota gameplays, not about these bans. But I think you managed to build your community in a very healthy way. But yeah, of course, eventually one or another guy just comes like you shared today, right?
Yeah, oh, I shared
The
some
guy
things on
going
Instagram.
on her Instagram, and well.
Yes.
But what I want to ask Moxxi is, you said you change your relationship to social media or responding or not responding the haters. Was this during Dota, or like your phase in Dota? You had a certain type of relationship, and after Dota, it changed. But how was it your journey through dealing with sexism and managing the scene? Because yeah.
So it definitely changed after Dota. Because when you're in Dota and when you are a talent and when you are working with such amazing other talents, um, you really want to make yourself as marketable as possible. You don't want to make any waves. You don't want to stir up any controversy. You keep your head down, you do the job, and you're just supposed to let everything roll off of you. And so when I was in the scene, it was one of those things where it's like, just don't make waves. Try not to make waves. I obviously broke one of those big rules at one point, which was a whole other thing. But generally, like, just kind of kept quiet. Was like, all right, this sucks, but we just gotta move forward. But then when I got out of the scene, I didn't have to worry about, how marketable I was, I guess. I could be a little bit more relaxed. I could engage in some of these conversations instead of just being like, all right, just don't touch it. Just keep your mouth shut. Don't do anything. Um, and like that's been very freeing in that sense, is that I can, I don't want to say be more myself, because I've always been myself, but like I felt less restricted, I guess, if that makes sense. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's something I wanted to ask. Do you feel like you have an advantage if you don't speak up?
Yeah. Yep. I don't think TOs want you to have any sort of controversy attached to you, right? Like it makes sense. You've got a product, you've got, this tournament. You want all eyes on that tournament, on the positives, on the good stuffs. You don't want someone who's controversial as a part of that. It's like any business. So it
But I
makes
mean,
sense.
even on your social media, I mean, if somebody disrespects you on Twitter or on your Instagram and you touch that sensible subjects, do you feel like it's bad to your image?
Mm, it depends on what image you're building, I guess. And it depends on what you want to do with that image.
Sure.
So, in the case of working talent for an event, again, you want to be just very palatable. I don't want to say vanilla exactly, but you want to, keep your head down. You want to be just about the game, just about the game. You don't want any of that other stuff. I will say that if you do discuss, like, if your goals are not to be a part of, that necessarily, you will find like-minded individuals who are going to show up and they're going to be like, yeah, that's great. I love what you said, or they'll back you up or whatnot. But I don't know if it's necessarily like it's definitely not an advantage for some things, depending on what you want to do.
Because first, if you don't feel comfortable like answering anything, please just say it, and we'll just go through. And I don't want to go into any specifics, but I remember something many years ago. Oh my God, we're getting old. Today I was just researching about the Dota, what they say, the broadcasting license, and the Valve blog post was on 2017, and I just thought to myself, oh my God, that's 8 years ago. But anyway, I remember like the Reddit saying something about yourself, like, oh, I don't remember if it was don't hire Moxxi, but Moxxi has problems, and things were being said on the backstage that in my perspective of what was happening, led you to not getting many gigs and not casting. Like you said, it took years, at least in my perspective, to get to an international. And I honestly thought that you were one of the best, because you were very different from the other casters that were like, they had kind of like a script, not taking any merit from them because they're all great, the ones that are still there. But I think that it was kind of unfair for you not to go to the international, like TI8 or TI9 or whatever. And but how was it, not specific to sexism, but how many of that is true, and how did you feel, and how was your journey like getting to the main stage of the international?
Oh boy, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a big question. Well, I think first of all, Dota is so spoiled with talent. Like we have such amazing casters. Like Owen is the gold standard. That guy is incredibly clever. He's very like quick. He's very he's just an all-around like all-star. You've got Cap, who's got like a great, understanding of the game. You've got Lyrical. You got like all these like top tier people. So like it was always stacked from the very, very beginning, and I knew that. Like honestly, you had all these like the S tier, and I was like, I'm just here because I'm glad to be included. The participation. Like, look at me, I'm kind of doing some stuff here with these cool people. It took me a long time to like realize, and I think Shiver actually was the one who told me. She's like, you're among peers now. Like, stop putting us all on pedestal. Like, you made it, Mox. But like it was hard to like carve out a place because you need to have something that makes people want to watch. Like, what is your thing? Like, oh, and it's because of the, lyrically rapping and being very clever with the things that he says. Like, he's got so many voice lines. It's incredible. What was my thing that was going to make me stand out? And I've always thought, like, I'm not a high MMR player. Like, I have always been 100% clear on that. I'm not as bad as the people want to make me out to be, because they say some pretty crazy stuff. But, like, my whole thing was storytelling and sharing my enjoyment of the game. Because I figure I've got really smart people who are going to tell you everything that just happened. Like, they're going to be able to break it down for you. They're going to be able to tell me what's happening too. Because, like, at that level, at the top tier level, there's so many tiny things that for the pros, it's second nature. They don't even think about it. But, like, if you sit down with someone who's also at, that immortal level and you ask them, they're like, oh yeah, like, this is what happens. And it's very simple for them to explain. But for the rest of us, we're like, holy shit, like, how do you even think of that sort of thing? And so, like, I kind of tried to play off of that. I did do a lot of like really fast casting in the beginning, and I've always been terrified that I'm gonna fuck up. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that on this podcast.
Oh,
No,
you
it's
know,
fine.
on
me
my
out.
channel? Oh, I do
Okay,
that a lot.
okay. But I was always afraid that I was gonna mess up and that it was gonna be another Reddit post about Moxxi said the wrong, ultimate here, or she didn't catch this, or like. And so I've always tried to hold myself to a very, very high standard on that, but I'm human. I mess up. And I'd really be really down on myself when these things happen. And it was always really interesting talking with like other casters. They'd be like, Mox, we made like as many mistakes as you, if not more, and no one ever calls us out on them. Like they're hyper focused on you for whatever reason. Or like they, some of the comments would be like, oh, she says this word too often. And I was like, okay, that's good feedback though. Like I shouldn't say it that often. But then I'd watch like other casters and they would do the same thing. And I'm like, why aren't they getting a threat about this? Like, that's not fair. And I was like, shake off that hate. Don't worry about it. But like, it was a tough road. I remember too, like back when I first got started, South America got no love at all. It was at that point, I think it was just like really like the Brazilians were coming up. Like the Peruvians hadn't reached that level yet. It was Pain Gaming. It was all King RD and HFN and Pavel. And I remember I was working one tournament and they hired me on originally to do the English broadcast for the South American qualifiers. And then they're like, oh, actually, we're not going to have English coverage. And I was like, what? Like, you're literally putting on like a huge tournament that everyone's going to watch and you're not going to have English coverage? I said, screw it. I'm going to do it on my own channel. Like, that's not fair. Like, that's not fair because, like, you're trying to build something, right? You're trying to build up a fan base and, like, these players are really, like, exciting to watch. Like, and you're just going to what? I don't know. That really rubbed me the wrong way. So I started, doing a lot with the South American teams because they didn't have a lot of viewers at the time. I was new to the scene. And the people, when I would engage with them, like as I was covering qualifiers, they were like, oh, I'm so glad that you're casting this. This is great. And I started to get to know all the players as well. As you cast, you start to recognize patterns. You start to see the same names. And they just the fans always seem so excited. Like, oh, thank you so much for casting this. I don't understand some of the Brazilian stuff, like, whatever. We started getting more and more like European people following too. Because like originally it was mostly just a lot of Brazilian, honestly. Some other South American too, but yeah, it was one of those things like, all right, South America Dota, you're gonna love me, I'm gonna love you too. We're gonna build this together because you guys are an incredible fan base. I see how much passion you have, especially for things like football. Like this is gonna be huge. Like you have so much potential. Let's do this. Let's go. And that's kind of how it also started to build, was telling the stories of American players and then becoming kind of like the expert on a lot of these players as well as we went further and further on. So that kind of became my thing. And I like to think that I had a pretty good voice to listen to. I know not everybody likes the higher pitch of a lady's voice, especially when you're watching a game for 45 minutes. And it's hard too with the excitement because like you need different sound engineering when you're dealing with the lady's voice, and not all tournaments had that. So sometimes when I get excited, voice naturally tends to go up. Same thing for a guy too. But because it gets up higher, some people are like, oh, she's screeching, or like the sound engineering wasn't like done as neatly as it was supposed to be. I don't know. I don't know a lot about that side of it. But I did have one of the sound engineers from one of the tournaments say, like, Mox, you're fine. Like, it's just that a lot of these other tournaments, they don't know how to handle a woman's voice when they start to get up because they're so used to all these dudes. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. I experienced it this year when I participated of the TI broadcast. It's like if you're a girl, you have to prove that you deserve to be there. And like, oh, is she just pretty or she knows Dota or something? It's like that kind of comments you have to really validate why you're there. And all the time you look to your side and you see boys doing the same thing and they don't get questioned about it. So it's really a thing. And you still work with Dota today, or you quit the game?
Like I still love Dota. I still watch it, but I don't really engage with it anymore. I haven't played in quite a while actually. Since they added in like all the rivers and whatnot. I did talk about doing a project at one point with a friend because again, I love Dota. And I'd love to do something where we discuss storylines about players in tournaments. Like I told them, I was like, we're not going to touch anything mechanical because that's where like everybody starts coming out of the woodwork and they're all like, oh, that's wrong, or oh, that's bad, or whatever. But like talking about like which player is going to be, moving this to this team, or like this person, made their first TI ever for their country, and like doing something kind of quick and short and snappy. I don't want to give it all away here because again, it's something I still would like to do. I just have not gotten around to it just yet. But like focusing a little bit more on just, who are these players? Because watching TI, especially because the Dota player base, we're getting older. We're getting older, and there are people that are older than us. Like I used to have a stream where I used to joke it was, Moxxi's home for old gamers who don't game so good, because getting older, they're busy. You've got families, you've got a job. Maybe you're traveling around a lot. You've got other responsibilities, so you can't play a lot of Dota. But you still enjoy the game. And then when you go to like watching TI, you're like, who are these guys? And no one provides that. Have you ever noticed like they don't say like, oh, this guy, got added in at this time, or like talk, like there's a little bit of talk, but TI moves so fast. That was one thing that actually surprised me when I worked that one TI broadcast on site, is how fast panels have to go. Because I had
Which
a lot
TI
of,
was it? Sorry.
that was TI 10 in Romania.
Oh, Romania. Okay.
Yeah, where there was no crowd, unfortunately. I was so bummed. But I had prepared a ton of research on the Chinese teams. A ton, because it's so hard to get a lot of that information. Like, they have some of the best memes in China, but we don't get that over here because it's not, they don't really use Reddit, right? A lot of it is Weibo or whatever. And so I'd done a ton of research. I talked to a bunch of people, and they had given me all this really cool facts about players. And they put me on panel for one game. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I'm going to be on TI panel. But they move so fast. You have to be so quick and concise. You can't deep dive into things. And I was like, that's kind of a shame because there's so many cool stories that you could highlight. And we don't have content anymore. Like, I love that you're doing, this podcast because it's a form of Dota content. But you don't get like hardly any content anymore. You get like maybe one-off piece here and there. But there was a time, again, old, where like there would always be content that was created. And sometimes it would be really, really silly. But sometimes it would also like they do like more interviews. They'd have just vignette, or not vignettes, but like portraits of each player. Like, highlight this player, highlight this player. And I feel like it loses the soul a little bit of Dota when we don't know about the players, when we're only looking at the game itself. And I think I'd like to change that in some way. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't feel close to the player. Like, some of them have so interesting stories from countries that we don't know very well here in Brazil, at least. The culture and how did he end up with Dota? How it happened, So yeah, I miss that kind of content too.
And there's
The
so many good
discussion.
stories.
Sorry.
Sorry, there's so many good stories. Like,
Mhm.
did you know Pepita ran away from home and slept on King Teika's sofa
Really?
No.
to play
I didn't
Dota
know
2?
that.
Yeah, that's the thing that happened. Like,
Yeah,
there's
Mhm.
so
that's
many like
interesting.
interesting stories. Or
Mhm.
like following players. Like, I know PDS, like especially you've watched so much Dota over the years. Like, well, one of the Dream Leagues. I was sitting at the bar and Panda comes over and all of his teammates are like making fun of him. They're like, he's a big fan. He's like, Moxxi, you casted one of my games like a million years ago when I was a little kid. And I was like, first of all, I feel old. But secondly, oh my God, that's so cool. Like that you wanted to come and talk to me. Cause like, yeah,
Mhm.
that was a long time ago. But you know, these are some of the cool stories that you can explore, you can share.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a discussion I always bring to my audience. Like you said, we don't have content
You're
anymore.
such a big cat.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sorry.
that cat is
It's a
huge.
cow.
He's huge. Oh my gosh.
But we don't have content anymore. I think it feels to me Dota has become something just about the game for the game, and there is no more connection to the community. I can remember the last time the international did a player profile. I used to love, like, it was a content like 2 or 3 minutes just showing the player with his family, his home, and everything. And today is only game, like 4 best of 3s in one day. Like, you have 12 to 15 hours of only Dota and not the connection anymore we used to have. Do you think this is I don't know, just like something that is changing over time because of new audience or lack of management
Um,
some sort?
I mean, things have changed a lot, right? Because Valve used to
Mhm.
be very heavily involved with internationals. And now they've kind of said, we've handed this to PGL, and PGL is creating this product. So I don't know if it's just like logistically too difficult or like how much money would be needed to like create these things. I don't know how that all breaks down. But I think that's probably one of the reasons why things changed. Because we used to have Casey doing interviews with people, and we
Mhm.
got great sound bites out of that. That used to be so fun. I know OG put out a couple like player profiles a while back, and I thought those were really interesting, especially Amar's. Just seeing like, you know, how he grew up and how it kind of contributes to the mentality that he has nowadays. You know, he's got
Mhm.
brothers who used to just give him a hard time all the time, like really toxic, and that just kind of became his default way of communicating, it seems, for some games. But it makes sense again, like if you've ever been around someone with brothers. Um, but yeah, like I don't know why we started to turn away from content. It feels almost like if I watch a lot of traditional sports now, which I used to never do. This is all the boyfriend's fault. He's a very big college football person. And like NFL or whatever. But like it feels very similar to a traditional broadcast in terms of just like the game is happening and that's the only thing that happens.
Mhm.
But the differences with traditional sports broadcasts is that you have all these little shows that pop up around them, right? Like you've got Sports Center, you've got, you know, just all these other little things by the numbers. Like there's other supplement, and we don't really have that. And I think that's where like the community should really, if they're able to, you know, try to step up and try to, you know, make these little content pieces around it.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. It's just hard to t- 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 use your time to make this content, and you almost never have like financial return for the time invested to make those contents. I don't know, maybe it's just a problem inherent to esports in general. I don't know, maybe.
I think you need to approach it not to make money.
Yes.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think you need to approach it as like the thing that I'm working on right now, it's going to be terrible looking cuz I don't have the graphic design know-how. I'm using Canva to like figure out how to move things around and make a scene that might actually make sense. But like I'm going into it as just like I want to make this cuz this is fun. And I want to share
Mhm.
this because I have a lot of like older viewers who don't have time to watch Dota anymore, and they're always saying like I wish that someone would make, you know, something to like quick and short just to like update me on some things. Um, but like, I think that's the big problem is we get so hung up on like we have to put out a beautiful finished product and it's got to make money. And like sometimes it's okay to make just a real shit
Mm-hmm.
thing that you made with your heart. And then if people like it, they're gonna like give you their support, whether it's, you know, just saying like, you guys got to check this out, this is really good, you know, look what I found. Some people will say like, hey, this is really good but it looks awful. Here's a couple bucks to hire a graphic designer to try to make this less horrific, you know? Like it's got to start from the heart in the first place, and then if it goes someplace, that's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And if it doesn't, you did it and you had a good time, you know?
And you will get better, you know, the more you do your Canva things and stuff, you will get better. And
I don't know about that.
really, I do everything using Canva. Okay, everything.
So we're gonna talk later.
Yeah, if I can help, it would be my pleasure. Of course, I think it's an amazing project. And so nowadays you're working with what precisely?
So I'm still streaming and just kind of playing, you know, different variety game stuff that I enjoy, engaging with my community. And then I'm also working as a project manager for the company Radiant GG, which is a woman-led company that makes tournaments for all women. It's
Oh,
really
I love that
incredible.
idea. I have a tournament, Dota small tournament here in Brazil, and I tried to make it female only, but I couldn't manage. But I love the idea. If at some point you're doing a Dota female championship, I would love to cast, you know, for fun, because I'm not a caster. I only cast my own tournament because I don't have the budget to pay somebody good to do it. But if it happens at some point, let me know.
I will. I would love for them to get involved with Dota, but unfortunately, it just all comes down to having a sponsor, right?
Mm-hmm,
And it's
mm-hmm.
so hard to get sponsors for all lady tournaments as it is. Dota, unfortunately, is very far down the list.
Yeah.
But I will let you know if we ever do dip our toes over there. I know what was it? There used to be Reina de Copas, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is that still
Yes.
going on?
No, it's
Ah,
not.
bummer.
Actually, the problem here in Brazil is the number of girls that plays Dota. You know, we don't have that many women streaming, playing Dota, and even more wanting to play, willing to pay like a tournament. You know, it's really hard to find the players. It's really, really hard.
I feel like there's not a lot of hubs for like ladies to get involved anymore too with like Dota. There used to be, what was it, Valkyries, and before that was the Dessa ladies, and before that there was another iteration. But I feel like all those communities have kind of died out, which is really kind of disappointing because it was cool to be able to be like, oh, you're new to the game and you're a lady, like here's a community that you can go join and get some people to play with, because that's really how you end up sticking around in a game as difficult as Dota, is you have someone to play with and look forward to. That's too bad.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you if I mean, you're involved with other games too. So do you feel like those communities are more welcoming to women, or is just the same thing?
I mean, to be fair, like caveat, I have not heavily engaged in the same level with other games, but from what I've seen from the outside and from what I've heard from people who have worked other events, it's very, very different. Like Valorant's a lot more welcoming, and they also have Galorants too. Like they're making those moves. Um, there's toxicity no matter where you go for sure. But from what I've heard from a couple people that have done multiple events, whether it's been in Dota and then, you know, whatever else, Dota is its own beast. It's pretty rough. I don't know if that's changed at all, but back then.
Um, I feel like I started streaming maybe 5 years ago, and I feel like it's already different. I don't know. Did I tough up? You know, did I got tough? But I feel like it's different already. Um, for yeah, at some point I remember shutting down the stream like crying, and today is just like, oh, just shut up, you're bold, and keep going and play the game, because they get all nervous when you call them bold. They don't like it, and just get going. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it's changing, because maybe here in Brazil we're really using chat voice, and in the worst case scenario, I will mute them, but I won't stop talking. So they will still hear my voice because I think they have to. And yeah, I feel like it's changing really slow, but it's changing.
I would agree with that. And I think a lot of that comes from over the years, like having more and more discussions about making people more and more comfortable. I know, like at one point we had the Dota Me Too movement. That was a big thing too, where a lot of people were unaware of some of the things that were going on and how like they could be perceived as like, imbalance of power or other stuff. And then also like we've had more ladies involved with like the broadcast, right? We've got Nat now, you've got Effie, you've got I guess Sheepo's not doing anymore really, like kind of doing more of her Rhea persona. Um and then we've had Shiver, but like we burnt through like every play-by-play female caster. It's very interesting, like when you think about it, because we've had like Shiver was a caster, and then Shiver got moved to desk and then never came back from desk. Llama, I know, was a little controversial. I didn't follow Llama very closely, but she was eventually kind of just shifted out of the scene. Annie made the choice to leave the scene, and then there was me, and then no one has come in after me for play-by-play anyways. Like we have more lady analysts, which I think is awesome, but like you were saying, like the scrutiny on them, especially, Effie and Nat, like they had a lot of like, oh, she's just there because she's pretty, not, paying attention to the fact that like, especially Effie, like incredible player, like really has a great sense of, how the game is played and plays a lot too. But it just, for a lot of people, they just got hung up on it and they immediately turned off the stream and they're like, nope.
Yeah, I agree.
And what do you feel was your highest point in Dota 2? Like this, wow, this moment I will cherish forever. Or maybe not. I don't know.
Casting TI with Purge, honestly. TI 10 in Romania. There was no crowd, unfortunately. We were freezing our butts off because it was so cold. You couldn't see it because, like, when the camera was on us, we were, like, dressed nicely and we're there, smiling. I actually had a whole different other dress that I was going to wear for that moment, but it was way too cold to be able to wear it, so I had to, like, kind of piece together a different thing. But the second that the cameras turned off, we had blankets that we're like wrapping around ourselves, and like I had a couple cups of hot water, like we're freezing the whole time. But it was one of those moments of like, holy shit, like we're here, we made it, like this is so cool. And that was probably the moment I was like, all right, I did it. I achieved my dream. And some people be like, but wasn't your dream be like to cast the grand finals? And I'm like, that sounds stressful. I don't think I'm ever gonna be up to that level of, especially not with like such great other talent in the scene. Like I'm happy to let them do that, but like having my one little piece of the main stage just made me so happy and made me feel good about like now I can say like I've made it. I'm a good enough caster to make this position, even though it kind of sucked because like it was kind of felt bad because I think Austin was dealing with COVID at the time. Like that's why he couldn't be a part. So that's why they let Gary and I step in for each of the games. But like that was just like a really amazing moment.
And about the vocal classes, you don't want to work with it anymore?
So I have a bachelor's degree for voice. I do not have a master's. And where I live, you basically need to have a master's and you need to have a very large resume of like things that you've done within voice to like get hired at a studio. And I don't really want to teach out of the house. I have like one student that I teach out of the house as like a favor to a friend, basically. But otherwise, like it's so competitive because there's so many people that, go into voice, and then there's only so many performance opportunities. So a lot of them will end up teaching. And a lot of them end up having like masters because they're trying to, get better positions within, whether it's, a teaching sort of situation or just, progressing with their training to become better. So I don't know. I love it. Like if I was a billionaire and I didn't have to work ever again, like I would still do it just for fun because I love teaching. I actually really, really love teaching.
Yeah, I have a thing for singing. It's like, I don't know, I just I found it so pretty, but it's something I know I suck at, so I don't even try. But sometimes I watch performances, and I don't know, I love it. And you said you were an opera singer. Did you already performed?
Yeah, yep. I've done performances within classical, operatic, Broadway. I was in a rock band for a short period of time. Like, I've done a whole bunch of different genres of music.
And can we watch at some place maybe? Is there some
Uh,
YouTube channel or something?
so reminder, I am old. I am very old, so it was like camcorder still when I was performing. There's probably some iPod touches out there that might have a recording, but there's not much. I think I have like an old SoundCloud somewhere. I can share that with you guys later. We're
Oh
not
yeah,
sending
I'm
that out to the
curious.
world where you can hear some of it, but like the recording is very rudimentary.
Mhm.
But during your streams, no more Disney singing streams, or?
I don't sing that much anymore, come to think of it. I used to. Like, I used to even have a redeem button for like X amount of channel points, and I would sing a song of people's choice. But I haven't done it very often. I think the last thing I did was from Hamilton.
We're about to finish actually. 1 hour podcast. Moxxi, I wanted to say that I'm really glad you could make it and be here. I feel like really connected to you, to your story, and the way you speak up to the things, fearless. I mean, and the way you see that it's an important thing, So I'm really happy this is happening.
I'm glad that we were able to schedule this. I know I had like a complicated schedule, PDS casting too,
Yeah.
so I'm glad that we were able to connect on this and chat. This has been very fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. I always was a huge fan. I think we met on TI8. Did you go to TI8 Vancouver?
I did.
Oh yeah. I think
I
we
was
met,
in
but
Vancouver, yeah?
yeah, I
TIA?
think it was.
Yep.
Yeah, Vancouver. Yeah, but I remember like when I'm working in a event, I'm just like work. I remember, oh, hello Moxxi, hi Bowie, and work, and I'm just like that. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. I'm a huge fan. My girlfriend Laura is a huge fan. You are one of the responsible for. She already liked Dota, but getting more into casting and really liking your job and your cast, and she's a huge fan.
What?
She she
That's so
she, uh,
awesome.
she said if you could send her like a kiss or a hello or anything, she would
Mwah.
love.
Just for her. Just for her.
Okay, but thank you so much, Moxxi, for coming and taking your time to talk with us.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.